all day yesterday preparing for this interview, and I assumed you were preparing for it, and then I watched television and I saw President Trump and you at the tennis matches. So you weren't preparing for this interview so much as I was, right?
It was, I think, part of the preparation.
Okay. So for those people that aren't familiar with the PIF, when was the PIF really started, in the fund? When was it started?
It started when I was 1 year old, 1971. And it did so many great developmental projects in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. When the Crown Prince became the chairman of the board of PIF back in 2015, and there was a good reason for him to say, I want to be the chairman, because he saw the potential and he saw what a sovereign wealth fund like PIF can do to the economy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. What PIF have accomplished up to 2015 was good. It wasn't great. The strategy that we discussed at the board level for about 6 months or so was so ambitious and wanted to put PIF and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on the map of the world when it comes to economic development and investments. So I'll just give an example. Up to 2015, from 1971, our average IRR was less than 2%. Once we started with the new strategy, and up to date, on average, we're making about 7.2%. Now, in the coming 2 months or so, we will set the new strategy for PIF, which is a continuation from the original one, until 2030, and from 2030 all the way to 2040 and beyond.
Okay, so is it public what the size is of the PIF now, what the assets under management is?
I didn't check the Wall Street today and Tadawul, but
roughly
it's 925, 930. At some stage, it was like the 945. Our target for the end of the year is 1,075 billion.
All right, so that's the biggest sovereign wealth fund in the world, I assume.
We will be the biggest sovereign wealth fund. Our targets by 2030 is to be at least 2 trillion. And there's a good chance for us to be $3 trillion.
Okay, so no pressure on you, right? So today, how big a team do you have to invest this money? You've got $945 billion under management, so you must have a pretty big team. Is it a team of all Saudis? Is the office only in Riyadh? Where are the people, and how many people do you have?
Yeah, so when back in 2015, we had about 30 people, and a very small office. Today, we have our main office in Riyadh. We have 2,964 people working at the PIF today. So that's a huge growth, multiple from where we were back in 2015. We have offices internationally. The first office was in New York City. Then we opened the second one in London, then Hong Kong, then Paris, Beijing, and we're opening regional offices in Cairo, in Amman, Jordan, and Manama, Bahrain, and also in Muscat, Oman.
How about Washington, D.C.?
It's we're always here. I mean, we have some of our subsidiaries like Sanabel. They have an office in San Francisco, so they're closer to the VC and technology kind of investments.
Okay. So when you were running a fund with $945 billion, you must be very popular, right? I mean, people you must, can you ever go to a restaurant or a dinner or any place and people don't say, I've got the greatest investment idea of all time?
That's the story of my life.
Right, okay. And so how many of them turn out to be great ideas?
I mean, we have a really good filtration process. We have a lot of teams that work in different things. And we're more proactive rather than reactive. So in our 5-year strategy, usually we put, and by the way, we left a card for our current strategy, which started from January 2021, and it should take us to the end of 2025. We put there 13 different sectors that we're interested in, both domestically and internationally. So that's the first filtration. Then we go to the idea itself. Does it make sense to us? Is it a brownfield, greenfield? Is it a financial asset? Because remember, we do too many things, and we don't look into only one kind of assets. We look at different asset classes.
So for people who wonder how you get to be the head of a sovereign wealth fund of $945 billion, what were you doing before you had this position?
So back in 2015, it was $150 billion. So the amount of growth that we had was really unprecedented. And it wasn't only performance, of course. It was a transfer of assets, transfer of cash, and also our own performance and the debt raising that we have. So I used to be a CEO of an investment bank called Saudi Forensic Capital. So we were doing like 40% of all investment banking activities in the Middle East. I started there in 2010 till 2015. And before that, I worked for the government at the Capital Market Authority, which is the equivalent of the SEC. And before that, I worked as a stockbroker in the global markets for about 8 years. And before that, which is the very important part of my career, was internal audit and external audit. So I remember back in my 20s, which was 2 years ago, I started in the internal audit. So I went from the mailroom to the risk department, to the treasury, to the corporate banking, to the branches, counting money, everything. So I had a really great understanding of how banks and operations work.
And so you're a native of Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
And you went to King Faisal University. Okay. And what did you study there?
I studied accounting. And then I had the Saudi organization certified public accountant.
When the Crown Prince asked you to head up the fund, did you know the Crown Prince very well before? Or?
Oh, no. It was the first time I met him when I got the call and say, okay, I'll go there. And I remember, he said, and it wasn't an interview, actually. He was like, I want you to do this, 1, 2, 3. And it wasn't for the Sovereign Wealth Fund. It wasn't for BIF. Actually, it was for the so-called Decision Support Center at the Royal Court. And the idea that he's a great visionary. And none of the things that we're seeing right now in Saudi would have happened without a visionary and a leader like the Crown Prince. The way he's looking at things, it's not based only on opinion. He said most of the governments, especially the Saudi government back then, used to make their decisions based on different advisors and based on opinions. What he wanted to add on top of that is the evidence-based kind of decision-making process. So my first task was to build the center. The center now has about 350 professionals in social, security, politics, and economy. And it's an integral part of the decision-making process within the center of government in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, so when you're looking at investment, the PIF is looking at investment, is the rate of return the most important thing, or is it whether it will help the kingdom in some other way, or is it just diversified out of the oil area? What are you most focused on in terms of looking at a good investment?
It's like a number of things. It's a matrix. Returns is very important. But why are we doing certain investment in certain sector? Is there a GDP contribution? Is there job creation? Is there a help in our local content, which is very important?